What's good, everybody, and welcome to the archives. I'm very excited to bring you this video. Next week, we have a release that all of us have been waiting since November of 2023. Onyx Storm, book 3 of the Empyrean series, is coming out. And in celebration of that, I went ahead and reread both Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, both in one day, to the detriment of my work and my job and my employers. But it had to be done. If you're like me and you're trying to catch up on the series before it comes out, or if you're like me and you already read each book within a day because you're just batshit crazy, stick around because I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know from Iron Flame and Fourth Wing before you go into Onyx Storm. If you haven't read Iron Flame yet, I'm going to start with just Fourth Wing items that have nothing to do with Iron Flame, just in case you also need to go back and read Iron Flame or you haven't read it yet before Onyx Storm comes out. So I'm splitting this video to two parts: Fourth Wing, everything you need to know, and then Iron Flame, everything you need to know, okay? So just be aware, there will be spoilers, so proceed at your own caution. Also, I'm wearing my Violet Reeds with Tarn and Andarna little shirt that I designed. I love it. Had to be done for the special day. So let's start with everybody you need to know. Violet Soaring Gale bonded to Tarn and Andarna with the signet power to call down and control lightning. She also had the ability to use Andarna's time stopping power, but as we know, Feathertails have a different ability when they're a Feathertail versus when they become an adolescent and then a fully grown dragon. So we don't expect that to be Violet's actual signet when it manifests. Mira Soaring Gale, Violet's older sister, lieutenant, I believe, in the Navaran army or Navaran riders, bonded to Tyne and with the ability to strengthen and if she's within range, conjure up her own wards. Lilith Soaring Gale, general of Basgiath College, bonded to Aimseer with the power to control storms. Brennan Soaring Gale, deceased brother of Violet and Mira, bonded to Marb and was a mender like Nolan. Father Soaring Gale was a scribe and died a bit after Brennan's death. If you recall, he's the one who gave Violet the book about the Venning folklore. He was the one who trained them on herbology and everything. And from what we're thinking, he might have known something was up. Let's get to Violet's friends, okay? Now we have Rhiannon. I don't care about last names. We're just going with first names, okay? Rhiannon, bonded to Feargi, can summon items from a distance. Rydok, bounded to Outram, can wield ice. Sawyer, bounded to Sleesig, can control metal. He's a metallurgist. Yeah, we don't talk about Liam anymore. Team Xaden. Xaden Rierson, leader of these band of traitor kids, bonded to Skyle, who has made it to Tarn and can wield shadows and is really attractive apparently. Bodhi, Xaden's younger cousin by a year. Garrick, Xaden's right-hand man. Imogen can wipe people's recent memories, a year above Violet, I believe. Dane Atos, another year above Violet, a childhood friend of Violet, can read people's memories after touching their head, bonded to Kath. Colonel Atos, Lilith Soaring Gale's aide. General Melgren, main general of the Navaran army, I think, bonded to Kodag, can see the outcome of a battle with some limitations. Jack Barlow, cadet in Violet's year, bonded to Bathe. Resident asshole, but died when Violet blasted the mountaintop that he was on with lightning. Nowlin, Tarn's previous rider, was a siphon and he lost his life trying to save Brennan. Okay, I think that's enough. Jacinia, Violet's scribe friend. Briefly, let's just talk about how many people in this world know how to sign as well. Varus made a very inclusive set of characters and theme here without making it seem like an agenda. Love you for that. Professor Markham, the scribe boss, I don't know what you call him, but basically the overseer of the scribe quadrant, who wanted Violet in the scribe quadrant to be his young protege. Professor Carr, basically the defense against the Dark Arch teacher, if we're really being real. Professor Kayri, the general knowledge professor is what I call him. Professor Devera, battle brief professor. Professor Emeterio, the sparring instructor. Nolan, the mender extraordinary. So now let's get into some of the plot points and other concepts around this world that I think are very important. And I'm just going to do a quick outfit change. This one is really cute. So this one is basically Tarn and Skyle sitting and having some coffee together. I love it. Now, on to the plot points. First things first, fuck Dane. Fuck Dane. Fuck Dane. Dane can get fucked. Okay, if you're not team fuck Dane, after Fourth Wing, I don't know what's wrong with you. Just to emphasize how much fuckdanery there is going on here, let me show you a shirt that I made last year in 2023, a shirt design that I made for Dane specifically. And that is all I will say on the matter. Continuing on, why did it have to be Liam? Why did Liam have to be the one perish? I'm so angry. I was so angry. I've read this book 3 times now, and that death hits me harder each consecutive time. But Liam Myrie does pass away trying to save other people in the vending onslaught. Some things you should know about Violet. Violet has a pretty extensive knowledge in history due to her scribe training. She has some pretty extensive knowledge in herbology, thanks to her father, essentially. So that's how she has been getting through sparring and everything, by poisoning her opponents. Really, really smart of her, using her skills and what she can do in order to be better than everybody else, instead of trying to match everybody else where they're at, because she can't. Mira is off limits, okay? Don't let me catch you going near Mira, otherwise we're gonna have a talk, okay? Mira's off limits. I mean that. Xaden is the son of Fenrirson, who was the leader of the rebellion that happened around 6 years ago at this time, and as a result, all of the people who took part in the rebellion were executed, their spouses were executed, and these kids were left with these rebellion marks on their bodies. Now, Xaden struck a deal with the leadership to say, basically, do not kill us. Let us attempt to live through the Riders Quadrant. We'll become riders for you, but don't kill these kids. Now, what's interesting is it seems that they figured out that Melgren cannot predict the outcome of a battle if it contains 3 or more of these traitor kids in the same area because of their emblems. That has something to do with interrupting Melgren's ability. We don't know why yet. A very small reminder that the Gauntlet is essentially an American Ninja Warrior course. It was basically ripped out of NBC. Enjoy it for what it is. I loved it. Love a good Gauntlet. Another reminder that Violet's mom is an absolute bitch for putting Violet through the Riders Quadrant instead of letting her go do what she wanted in the Scribe Quadrant. Are we good on that? Cool. The way signets work. So when you're bonded to a rider, you first start channeling, which means power starts like coming through you, through your dragon, and so you can start using lesser magic, which is basically general magic. Everybody could do it, unlock doors, pick up things, grab, like float things over to you, etc. A signet is a specific unique ability to each person. Not all signets are the same, but some signets can repeat, like Rydok's ice wielding, or probably Emery's like air wielding, etc. And it is said that in many cases, signets will manifest depending on what the rider needs most. So we don't know why everybody's signet manifested the way it did. We can make educated guesses, etc. But as far as I know, Violet just got plot armor. But I do think it's interesting, when we're still on this topic of signets real quick, that Brennan was a healer, Mira is a warder, Mom is a stormbringer, and then Violet is basically a lightning weapon of destruction. Essentially is what she is. So this family has both support, offense, defense, and healing. All they need is an assassin, and they're a 5-man squad ready to go play League of Legends. I believe that at some point in this book, it was either Xaden mentioned or somebody offhandedly mentioned that Skyle was previously bonded to one of Xaden's previous family members. Turns out it was his great-grandfather or somebody in his direct line, which means something for the future. Now let's be very, very frank with each other. Frank, I'm looking at you right now. Let's be frank with each other, okay? Let's be you with each other. Violet would have died multiple times if not for Mira's dragon scale vest she made off of Tyne's scales. My concern is that we haven't seen that concept reappear anywhere else. So I'm really hoping that we see that concept appearing somewhere else. We don't even know who her friend is who can shrink things down and then enlarge in other things. But if that person is still living and is on whoever's side, I would love to see dragon scale vests being more commonplace if we can make that. Now, I don't know how painful it is for a dragon to shed its scales, etc., all those things. But I think it's a really cool defense thing to think about for a future army, maybe just the Iron Squad type thing. We can clearly see a political propaganda thing happening with the leadership and the general public, because they're trying to make sure the general public does not know anything about Venin, anything about wyverns, anything about the outside world. They want to be a very closed, insulated culture, cutting themselves off from the rest of the world, thinking that they can make their own bubble and live there forever. That is obviously wrong. There are a few gods mentioned in this story, right? Amari, Dune, Xenol, and Malik. Malik is referenced the most of all because every fucking morning they reference Malik. But I just wanted to bring your attention to that, to these gods. I don't know if they're ever going to actually play a part in this world, or if they're just like made up gods for like their overarching religious culture, whatever it is. I've read too many books at this point where gods seem unimportant and they show up at the end. Who knows? We do know that Liam's sister Sloane is going to be joining the Writers Quadrant next year. So now, you know, Violet feels like she's tasked with protecting Sloane in Liam's stead. So we're hopefully going to see some like Sloane Violet dynamic there. I do hope Sloane gets to be like a decently like important character, but we don't know yet. Remember that scene where they're in the courtyard and this guy is just going fucking ballistic because he develops the power of an intonistic, the specific kind of intonistic that can read other people's memories, and Professor Carr walks right by, grabs his head, and snaps it. That shit must have been intense to watch in person. Just remember that there are specific signets that are 100% off limits within the Navaran bounds or boundaries. And if you manifest those and show signs of those, you are dying. There are other signets are not as extreme and as broken as being an intonistic that can be allowed as long as they're kept under secret and used for military purposes, like Dane's reading people's recent memories by touching their temple. Now that Violet knows that Brennan is alive, where are we going next? Where is the story going next? How are we still going into the Writers Quadrant? Is she immediately joining like is she gonna like figure out what to do with Brennan? Is she gonna like help out Xaden and his crew, like Team Xaden? We don't know any of that yet, but it's gonna be very interesting to find out where this goes. And last but not least, these writers are horny as fuck. I swear to God, they are writing everything and everybody. And I get it, all right? You want to get your nut off before you end up dying the next day or the same day as it is. They're just really horny as fuck. The pun is not lost on me. Now, last but not least, who do we fuck with in this story thus far? We fuck with Kaori, Emeterio, Deborah, Carr, Nolan, Violet, Xaden, Garrick, Bodhi, Imogen, Liam, Rhiannon, Mira, Rydok, Sawyer, Jacinia. We fuck with all of them, okay? Who do we not fuck with at this point in time? Markham, General Soringale, General Melgren, King Tory, Colonel Atos, Jack Barlow, and fuck Dane Atos, okay? I'm telling you who we do and do not fuck with, but you should tell me who you do and who. Now I want to move on to Iron Flame, but I have to do another outfit change. Okay, so this one is a very simple yin-yang symbol with Tarn and Arndarna doing the yin and yanging. I like it. It's simple. It's basic. I just like it, okay? I used to have a different design with this. It was the same exact design, but then I had the words violence written in the middle, and I thought that was really fun as well. Now let's move on to Iron Flame. In Iron Flame, we get a ton of world building, which I love. We get new characters added, which I love. Everything just expands. The same way that characters' view of the world and knowledge of the world issues expands, so do our view of the world just expand, right? We're no longer in Basgiath's Writers Quadrant. We are now in the world as it is. So I like that a lot. Now, let's get started on the characters that we see, the new ones specifically that we see in Iron Flame. So now we see that we have the Assembly, right? Which is basically their attempt at a democratic political power. So the members of the Assembly, and there are 7, are Xaden, Brennan, Felix, Suri, Kylan, Ulysses, and Trissa. And all of them play their specific part in the rest of the story. We also see, I think, Lieutenant or Colonel or whatever the fuck his name is, Varish. We don't fuck with Varish, I'm telling you right now. He's bonded to Solus, a one-eyed dragon. First eye was taken out by Tarn, fuck with my mans. And Varish has the signet power to detect somebody's weaknesses. So if they slip their shields down, he can detect what they're most weak to or what some of their weaknesses are that he can then manipulate in his torture. Next, we have Sloane Myrie bonded to Thort, and her power, we figure out, is she's a siphon, like Nowlin was. We have Eric Greycastle, who is actually Prince Cam Eric Tory, King Tory's third son. So he sneaks into the Writers Quadrant because he feels like something is actually up in this world. He doesn't agree with basically hiding in their own borders. And so he's here at the Riders Quadrant, unknowing to his father, to do something about it. He is bonded to a blue clubtail, though we don't know what that clubtail's name is yet, and he has not manifested his signet power as of Iron Flame. Those are really the only ones I care to mention as like new additions in terms of riders, but there are Griffin riders that I also want to talk about. We have Viscount Tikaris, who is the leader of Corden, and Corden is the nation state that holds the luminary that Xaden's team needs to, fully flesh out their forge in order to start building the weapons at Aredia instead of smuggling them through Basgiath. He's also the bitch who wanted to bring Violet to Corden for her to show him how her lightning works and then sicked her on a Venin. We have Serena, who is the first heir to the throne in Corden. And then we have Catriona, who is the second heir, Serena's younger sister, second heir to the throne of Corden, has the ability to amplify existing emotions in a person, and she's bonded to Kirillere. There are more Griffin riders, but I don't really care to mention them. Most of them had a more supportive background role. Rip my girl Luella. I wish she hadn't fallen. Definitely they could have fixed it. I don't know why they couldn't grab. I don't know. I think as small as she was, they probably could have pulled her up. But that's just me. Now let's get into the juicy plot. Brennan is 100% alive. He's still bonded to Marb. And so now we see Nowlin's sacrifice was not in vain. But the fact that he's held this secret for over 6 years and had gotten in contact with none of his relatives is definitely a sore point. Let the record show that Xaden has never lied to Violet. Now, Xaden is the master in the art of saying selective truths, but he has never lied. I'm gonna say that again for you. He has never lied. Colonel Atos can go fuck himself for sending them into a trap in war games. Dane Atos can go fuck himself for telling his dad about Athbine. Varish is weird. We don't like Varish. Easiest decision of my life. This isn't even like a little like, oop, swerve. They're not actually evil. 100% evil. Simplest evil character to find in my life. If Varish was not specifically Venin, we do think that he held much more power over Solus than it was a 50-50 partnership. We don't know specifically how, but he definitely had more influence over what Solus was doing than Solus had influence over what he himself was doing. Which is why we think that Varish was the one who influenced Solus to then try and burn people at Conscription Day after the parapet, basically trying to burn anybody who had a separatist's emblem on their skin. We love seeing Violet snap at Dane every single time he opens his mouth. Mwah, chef's kiss. The banter, as usual, is amazing. We see that Atos and Varish are sending assassins after Violet and the other separatist kids. But it was not okay that one first year, that chunky, burly first year, just snapped Nadine's neck because she was pretending to be Violet. That was not okay, Rebecca Yaros. That was not okay. That was more okay than Liam dying, but that was not okay. This is just a train of thought that I had when I was reading Iron Flame, so that's why there's like multiple parts of what I'm about to say, okay? So then Quinn said that dragons who bond riders in the same direct familial line risk going mad or channeling a second signet. Do we need to be concerned about Skyland Xaden? Oh wait, Xaden has a second signet. Oh yeah, he's an intention intinistic. Oh shit, he's literally a weapon. That was a crazy revelation. Like Rebecca Yaros is making Xaden the most broken weapon of all time, which I think is the point. But that was insane. And she nerfed him just slightly, saying he can't read memories. He can only read the split-second precognitive intention of their thought. We see that Eric Greycastle is really, really mad at Xaden. Why? Because Xaden is the one who killed Eric's older brother, Alec. But what Eric does not know is that Alec was an absolute murderous, bullying piece of shit. And that's why Xaden killed him, because he was coming after Garrick at Threshing. So here's the Ondarna section, because we get a ton of lore for Ondarna. We still don't have a signet manifested for Violet through Ondarna, but we get a lot of lore about it. So Ondarna goes into a long dreamless sleep after exhausting her time powers at the Venin battle. She grows into an adolescent, but according to Tarn, that sleep was forced to an extent, which forced Ondarna's growing process. That process did not allow Ondarna's wing muscles to fully mature. She'll never bear a rider as far as we know. In Andarna's new teenage angsty ways, her body grows, her attitude grows, and her sarcasm snapbacks also grow, giving us some great banter dialogues between her, Tarn, and Violet, and just her in general. Her scales change to a blackish hue, but we do see signs of her scales reflecting her surroundings. I believe that means that she has camouflage abilities due to her, well, we'll get there. From what we know at the end of Iron Flame, she's actually a 7th dragon species. How? We don't know. But I'm also curious if Violet's dad knew Andarna, because it was brought up that he was doing research on feathertails. And we also know that Andarna was waiting for 300 plus, how many ever years, 3,000 plus, I don't even know how many ever plus years, the number 3's in there. But we know that Andarna was waiting for Violet's existence to hatch. We need more details on that. We don't know how Andarna knew about Violet unless she was talking to Dad Sorengale, and Dad Sorengale was talking to Andarna about Violet. Does that make sense? Now, there's a lot of dissonance between Violet, Xaden, Tarn, and Skyle for all the various secrets that are kept between each other. Everybody's got secrets, okay? That's the whole thing here. Everybody has their secrets. Everybody dies with their secrets, okay? Violet needs to grow the fuck up. Everybody has secrets. That being said, the fact that Violet endured 5 days of torture after Nolan drugged her and Varish beat her black and blue, mad respect. She held it down for the people. She held it down for the culture. Mad respect to that. But also Dane standing up for her by stabbing Varish in the gut after he sees what actually happened through Violet's memories. We respect Dane Atos for that. He's still not in the clear, okay? But we don't not fuck with him, but we don't still fuck with him. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about Violet's mom real quick, okay? This woman had her entire world crash down on her this year, right? Her daughter almost got killed by being sent into a trap. She realizes her son is alive, who also still hates her. She realizes that she can never help them because she's a general of Basgiath College, and she's made a decision and she has to stand by that decision. She sent Violet to the Writer's Quadrant just so that she wasn't going to be either brainwashed or part of Markham's protege training. And then at the end of years down the line, if Violet finds out about all these propaganda things, Violet's life is in danger then without any sort of combat training like she would get at the Writer's Quadrant. So basically, Lilith Sorengale sent Violet into the Writer's Quadrant to help her protect her from Markham and help her develop her abilities and become a stronger person to defend herself in the way that Lilith knew Violet would want. That does not excuse the way she acted, but right at the end, Lilith Sorengale sacrificing herself and Aimseer for the betterment of powering the Ward Stone. Mad respect to you, Lilith Sorengale. I wish we would have gotten more time with you, but unfortunately we didn't. I do hope for more lore about your life in Onyx Storm, but if not, it was nice knowing you. And I'm very sad we lost a power like that. Damn it. That being said, Brennan mending a Ward Stone makes me understand that I thought menders could only mend organic matter, so that's why bones and stuff were able to, but an actual Ward Stone, which I believe is not organic matter, is very interesting to see, that you can mend more than just organic matter. Speaking of mending organic matter, Mira punching Brennan square in the nose after finding out he's alive, very on brand for Mira. I stand, Mira supremacy till the day we die. If anything happens to her, I will be the first person on the internet prolifically swearing off this series for the rest of time. That's a lie, but for the rest of time. We see that runes are introduced in Iron Flame, and I think that's actually an amazing addition to the power system because it is basically taking what was once a power linked to a person that only a person can use. It makes power more autonomous, more customizable, and more portable. And so other people who can't channel can still use these runes. Does that make sense? I think it's an amazing addition to the power system to put in this book. And I would love to see where that goes from there. It is not lost on me that Catriona is the rune extraordinaire of this group. I would love to see a change of heart from her and helping out the writers more in Onyx Storm, because I think she was having more of a change of heart towards the end of the book in the final battle. Now, that large sparring battle between Catriona and Violet was great to watch. The scene afterwards when Xaden carries a frustrated Violet into the throne room, kicks everybody else out, and then goes down on her was also great to watch. I am not sorry about the scenes that I appreciate in this book. Now, let's not ignore the fact that Violet stood there, looked up like this at Kodog, and said, listen here, brother. I know your secret. I know Andarna's not who she says she is. I know she's not of your den. She has her own den. Am I right? If I'm right, please come help us power this war stone. We need your help. God, please help us. Kodak, please. Please. Kodak, I'm sorry. Kodak, please help us, please. She essentially said all that in a much braver, courageous way. I would have been pissing my pants at Kodak. But if I had Tarn behind me, I probably wouldn't. But that was dope. Mad respect to Violet. She really is a strong, powerful, courageous protagonist. We love to see it. And the fact that Jack Barlow actually lived that fall, developed Venine powers, controlled by Bade, because we see that Bade's eyes are glossed over and he is still fucking alive. It's insane. But we're going to see Jack more in Onyx Storm, obviously, because Xaden needs Jack's information on how do I not become a Venine anymore. Let's talk about that. Xaden not trusting the fact that Violet was going to get out there alive and said, well, also in tandem with, he was getting fucked up by the Sage. He was getting himself fucking mauled, obliterated, fucking red by the Sage, that he said, okay, my intinistic shadow wielding is not enough. I need more, but I'm out of signets. I can't manifest a third signet. What do I fucking do? He goes Venine. He channels directly from the earth. He goes Venine in order to beat the Sage, and that's the only way he could have done that, as far as we know. We know that Skyle was very upset with that decision, but it had to be done for plot. That is everything essentially that happened in Iron Flame, but I'm not going to leave you guys here. I have one more thing to tell you guys after another outfit change. This is the 4th outfit that I made for my 4th Wing series designs back when my shop was still live. More on that at a different time. But I wanted to show you guys, this is one of my more favorite ones because very underrated, right? It's a dragon scale vest, daggers, poison vials, and books. Basically, Violet's whole arsenal. This design is called Violet's Arsenal. And I like it a lot because it's very under the radar. Like, you wouldn't know it unless you read the books, and I told you this is Violet's Arsenal. You're like, oh shit, I get it, you know? So I like this design a lot. It's one of my favorites. Now, I wanted to end this video off with a couple of predictions and or things I would like to see in Onyx Storm. So if I'm right about something, I have confirmation that I said it before I read the book and I wasn't cheating. And if I'm wrong about things, well, we're wrong about a lot of things, and I don't mind being surprised or feeling wrong. The first thing that we need to talk about is Violet's second signet, I believe, should be manifesting in Onyx Storm. And there's a lot of speculation out there as to what that signet is. I've heard from a friend that people online are saying that maybe she has the ability that powers up the friends around her, because her sole need in life is to have enough power to support and keep her friends alive. All she wants to do is keep her friends alive. So that makes sense, right? I'm thinking a couple of different things, right? I don't think it would be weird for Violet to develop gravity powers. I don't know why, but I feel like in a way to beat Flying Wyvern, in a way to help out her friends, the amount of times that gravity has been an issue in this book specifically, and when I read the word gravity so many times, it just caught my attention. I don't know if that's like a misdirection or a direct direction. But gravity would be cool. I don't actually think it's going to be gravity, but I'm just putting it out there as one of my like throwaway predictions. I wanted a power that goes well with lightning. Maybe something having to do with air or like flotation. Once again, I think gravity would be cool because it kind of goes with like, it doesn't go with lightning, but it kind of goes with lightning, if you know what I mean. But regardless of what it is, I'll be really excited to see it. I think it's going to be something very different, given that Andarna is a 7th species. Her signet power might not be as general as other people's. But I'm very open to being just surprised by it and not even think about it. We now know that Xaden has shadow wielding, intention intinistic, and Venin powers. Okay, 2 was not enough. He had to go to number 3. So what I'm expecting is that this is going to drive a direct wedge between him and Violet, him and Skyle, and or other relationships that he has, because now he's going to have to go seek out other Venin to figure out how do I use this? How does it work? How can I even reverse this? Is there a way to reverse this? I don't want this. I just needed it for this one time to save my life and the people that I love, etc. I don't want this. That's going to drive a wedge in his relationships. I think that at some point, if not even in Onyx Storm, I think at some point he is going to be joining the Venin side as an undercover Venin. That's just the most predictable thing to do here. If that doesn't happen, dope. But if that does happen, just know I said it. I'm pretty sure because of this potentially driving a wedge between Xaden and Violet, we might have the recurrence of the Dane Violet Xaden love triangle. I'm very excited for this world to open up even more, give us even more world building, let us fly to different places. We might have more inclusion of the Griffin Riders. We're gonna have maybe a third kingdom or some like other nation state help out or seek out help, etc. We're going to see probably maybe conversation with Basgiath College. I don't think they're going back to college to finish out their 3rd year, so I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen there. I think already it's just going to like be their college for now, but I'm excited for the world building we're going to see. I want more Sloane and Eric just presence, right? Sloane played a really good heavy part right at the end, her being the siphon for Lilith to power the Wardstone, but we did not see much of Eric at all, really. He really played a low-key role, and I get that the whole point was like, you know, first years aren't really getting close to second years until after threshing, after we know they're like hopefully going to be alive, and now they have a little bit more of a role. But I'm pretty sure we're going to see Eric's signet manifest. I just don't know what signet Eric thinks he actually needs for himself. Like, I don't know what signet he's going to manifest that's going to be like, this is the thing that I need to do what I want to do. So I think that'll be interesting to see and look out for. I'm expecting more cadets in the Iron Squad to die. Sawyer almost died. He is not fighting again. He lost his whole leg. He and Sleesig are still alive, but he lost his whole leg. I don't think he's fighting anymore. He's on crutches unless they develop like a fake leg or whatever for him to use. He's going to be on crutches. He's not part of like the battle squad anymore. But I don't think he's going to be the one to die. I honestly think it's either going to be Rydok or Rhiannon. But let's see. Let's see what happens. I think another person of Iron Squad dying is inevitable because they're no longer second years anymore. I mean, they technically are in Aredia. So that is it for me. That is everything that you need to know in Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Probably not everything, but everything you need to know in Fourth Wing and Iron Flame before you start Onyx Storm. Okay? When Onyx Storm comes out, protect yourselves. Don't go online. If you're reading it on release, make sure you don't go online. Just read it for yourself. Get all of your thoughts, your theory crafting, all of your emotions. Really sit with all of those. Read the book yourself and then go online. Don't let anybody else spoil it for you. Okay? Don't let me spoil it for you because you know I'm going to be yelling about that shit on Twitter the entire time. You know I'm going to record my reactions to it and put a reaction video up after I finish reading it. You know I'm going to read it within a day. I'm not going to want to work and I'm just going to want to read this book the entire time. We know these things, right? We have an understanding. We know these things. But anyways, please leave any of your theories or predictions down for Onyx Storm in the comments, along with a like if you liked this video, if you liked the way that I did it. And if you're new here, subscribe, okay? I'm trying to do more things like this. I think this was really fun. And it's for a series that I genuinely enjoy. Last thing about that, actually, do not let anybody ruin your enjoyment of a series. There are a lot of people who even at the end of last year, were saying, Fourth Wing is written so badly. I can't believe like people enjoy this book, etc. And I'm like, it might be written badly for you. That's fine. I don't care. It is written perfectly for me to digest it so simply. And it is simply an entertaining, fun read with a little bit of engagement of the mind. Okay, it is not a cult classic. It is not a fucking Tolstoy or Dostoevsky kind of bullshit. It is a great series to me. I hope it is a great series to you. I hope you enjoy reading them. And yeah, anyways, leave whatever thoughts you have in the comments below, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.